What's up guys, Jeff Benjamin with 9 to 5 Mac, and folks, no joke, iOS 17.2 is kind of a big deal, and we're talking 50 plus new changes and features. Let's talk about it. So iOS 17.2 dropped just a few hours ago, and the release notes, although it talks about some of the new features like the new journal app, the release notes really doesn't do it justice. There are tons of new features in this update. Now, if you're already running release candidate 2 for iOS 17.2, it's the same version, same build number. So one of the more interesting new features is the ability to change the default notification in haptics for apps that don't allow you to choose a notification sound. So maybe you're using a third-party app, they don't let you configure the alert. Well, now you can go into settings, sounds and haptics and do it yourself. So if you're not a fan of Rebound as your default notification alert, then switch to something old school like Tritone. That one is going to definitely bring back some memories. But you can switch to any of these alerts as your default, and you can also adjust the haptics as well and truly customize that default alert method. So in my opinion, this is a feature that has been overdue. I think a lot of people are going to appreciate this. What about you guys? So this is one of several new features in 17.2 that is exclusive to the iPhone 15 Pro. And that is, of course, being able to map the action button to the Translate app. This is something Apple actually showed off at the iPhone 15 Pro keynote. So this lets you translate phrases, have conversations with other individuals. Pretty cool. So between the two languages you have configured, it will recognize which language you're speaking and give the translation in the other language. So you can truly carry on a conversation. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I just find it difficult to grasp what the time is on an analog clock. Sometimes it's just nice to have the digital variety, especially when it looks like this guy right here. And those second tick marks going around the edge definitely remind you of the modular ultra watch face on the Apple Watch. And the Wallet app gets some love. It gains NameDrop-like sharing for sharing things like passes. For instance, here, I can just put my phone up next to the other phone, and you can see NameDrop-like functionality for sharing that pass. So all I have to do is tap share, and that will automatically be sent over via AirDrop to the recipient's device. Apple's upcoming Vision Pro headset is arriving early next year, and there are already some signs within iOS 17.2 that it's arriving soon. So for instance, if you go into Settings, General, AirPlay, and Handoff, you'll see the new AirPlay Receiver option, which allows you to stream or share content from Vision Pro to your iPhone. So obviously not everyone will be in the market for a Vision Pro initially, but most Apple users will have an iPhone, so you can stream or share content from Vision Pro to Apple's most popular device. So you can allow AirPlay for everyone, or you can go in there and select the current user only. What do you guys think? I really strongly believe that we should be able to use our iPads at least as AirPlay receivers. Like being able to cast something from your phone directly to your iPad, I think it would be pretty cool. What do you guys think? In 17.2, clearing Safari history now shows how many tabs will be closed if you choose to close tabs. So go to Settings, Safari, Clear History and Website Data, and then you'll see the Clear History page. Now at the bottom, additional options, close all tabs. Notice below it tells you how many tabs, in this case 3, that will be closed. And now Safari remembers your preferences for clearing website history and website data. Now notice my selections on the previous version of iOS 17.1.1. You saw I had close all tabs enabled, but if I go back there, you'll notice the settings have been reset. For instance, close all tabs is disabled and all history is no longer selected. But here on iOS 17.2, it'll remember my preferences for clear time frame and additional options for closing all tabs. So watch, I'm gonna go back and go back in, and you can see my clear time frame is still set to today. Now the clear for profile did reset, but additional options, close all tabs, is enabled. There's a new fast fade page turn setting in Apple Books. So right now, the page turn is set to slide, but let's go into the settings here, and you can choose curl, and that gives you that skeuomorphic sort of page turning curl. Now I'll set it to scroll, so it's not left to right, but it's up and down, like that. Now we're gonna go back and set it to the new fast fade, complete with a lightning bolt glyph to emphasize its speed. And yeah, that's pretty fast. You'll notice that the warranty info has moved. So previously, if you go to settings and you go to About, there you would find the coverage panel, which includes all of your Apple warranty information. Now on the new 17.2, when you go to Settings General About, you no longer see coverage. So that's been moved in 17.2. So not only has it been moved to Settings General, it's now been renamed, more appropriately I might add, to AppleCare and Warranty. And there's also some updated fine print. So previously it said coverage is only shown for the iPhone and select Bluetooth paired devices with a link to Apple support. But now it just says coverage is shown for this iPhone and selected Bluetooth paired devices. And in 17.2, a new tone warns you when liquid is found in the charging port. So, I had to do the only responsible thing, and that is to place liquid directly into my USB-C port on my iPhone 15 Pro Max using a syringe. Okay, so it's filled with water, so the next bright idea, to plug in a USB-C port that's connected to a power outlet. Here goes nothing. Plug it in, and oh. So yeah, that's definitely a new tone. Emergency alerts in settings, notifications, gets a new local awareness setting. So if we go there, you see local awareness. Apple can use your approximate location to improve the timeliness, the accuracy, and reliability of emergency alerts you receive. We knew it couldn't be too much longer, but yes indeed, there aren't many nails left to be put into the iTunes coffin, as 2 significant nails were put in today. So we know that the TV app not only allows you to stream Apple TV Plus, but that's where you can now go to purchase all of your TV shows and movies. So if you went to the iTunes store, you can see that has music. Oh, so you can no longer purchase movies or TV shows from the iTunes app. It basically redirects you to the TV app. So even if you go to More and then look for your previous purchases, you're only going to see music there, as TV and movies are now only accessible from the TV app. And speaking of laying the groundwork, changes in the iOS 17.2 code indicate that yes indeed, Apple is working on a feature that will allow Apple Store employees to facilitate updates on unopened iPhones wirelessly, and that should significantly speed up the purchasing experience for those upgrading phones. There aren't any certified Qi 2 chargers available for purchase just yet, but we know they're coming. The benefits: 15-watt charging, even if it's not an MFI MagSafe device. And 17.2 brings Qi 2 compatibility to the iPhone 13 and 14 as well. 17.2 also fixes a very annoying issue that prevented wireless charging in certain cars, like the Chevy Bolt. And my colleague Michael Bauer, who owns a Chevy Bolt and has experienced problems with wireless charging, confirmed that 17.2 fixes the issue. Now, one of the biggest new features for 17.2 is the new Journal app, and it is a really well done application, but it's a journal. So obviously we want it to be secure, right? So obviously, yes, it supports Face ID and Touch ID. And although there is no iPad or Mac Journal app just yet, it does support iCloud Sync and it's end-to-end encrypted. But the Journal app is all about writing about small moments, writing about significant moments, basically anything you can think of. You can use this however you choose. All you do is you tap the plus button, and then you can either select a new entry or select a moment and write. And these various moments can be recommended to you from various sources, like the music you listen to, or the trips you've taken, or the workouts you've done. In other words, it'll give you suggestions based on the things you do, your lifestyle, if you will. So you can see the various suggestions here, the music I've listened to recently, the workouts I've done, the photos I've taken, podcasts I've listened to, etc. So I can tap on the music, so I can go in and toggle certain songs on or off. And then I can just start writing with those songs sort of as inspiration. I can even tap up here in the upper right hand corner and list them as a list. Here are some of the random songs that I must have just let idly play in the background, because I don't recognize most of those album covers, but I can just talk about the songs and what I was doing, and I'll just say they're random songs from Apple Music. But you kind of get the point there. Like if there's some songs that were inspiring to you, you can talk about those. Or if you were listening to a particular song for a reason, you can talk about those and just really journal. That's what it's all about. So you can go in and hit the X button in the upper right-hand corner if you want to remove certain songs, tap done to complete the journal entry. So there you go. So I can tap on any of the songs within that entry, play that song back if I wish to, swipe between songs. You can see the day and time you listen to it. So that allows you to go back and relive experiences. Now, there's also reflections, and these are suggestions that ask you questions to really help you to listen to that inner voice, I guess, if you will. And you can refresh, and there would provide you with different suggestions. But like this one right here, what's a good piece of advice that you've given to a friend this year? Well, to not give up. And then tap done. And there you go. There's your journal entry. And there are tons of different reflections like that. Now, you don't have to use one of those suggestions. You can just tap new entry and just start writing if you want to do that. But you can always tap the little recommendation button, and that will allow you to access those recommendations. Now, you can also add in a photo if you want to do that, or take a photo if you want to do that. I'll take a snapshot here. Shout out Phil Holland. Love those Apple TV screensavers. They are awesome. You can also add an audio recording if you want to do that. Great for talking or for just recording your environment if you want to do that. You can have multiple recordings, of course, and you can play those back, swipe through to other media, and delete recordings or media. Pretty awesome. And you can also add your location as well if you want to do that. Now, if you tap the ellipsis button in the upper right-hand corner, you can select your entry date or select a custom date. And that allows you to select, well, a custom date, backdate it, post-date it, however you choose. And then you can tap the bookmark button to bookmark that post, which is handy when we talk about filters. So tap the filter button on the main page of the journal, and you can filter on bookmarks. So you can see those bookmarks there. You can filter on photos or recorded audio. So any journal entry with recorded audio will display. You have music and podcasts. You also have reflections, so any reflections you answered. And activity, photos, etc. So this is a really well-designed app. I am just kind of shocked at how much I like this application. I used to use Day One, don't use that anymore. I've been using Notes as a journal tool, but now I'm going to use this, obviously. So you see the left and right swipe actions as well. Let's talk about journal settings. So if we go to the settings app here and go to journal, you can see all the various permissions you can give it. But notice this, skip journaling suggestions. So that means when I tap the plus button, there's no suggestions. It just allows you to start writing right off the bat. And you also have that option to lock your journal, which I already have enabled. You have the option to schedule journal entries. You'll be alerted to make sure you remember to journal at those times. And there's an option to enable saving photos and videos that you take in journal to the Photos app. Now you also have privacy settings for journaling suggestions. So you can turn off any one of these suggestion areas, media, contacts, photos, significant locations. So this helps you to determine where you get those suggestions from. So the idea of journaling has never really been something I've been into, but recently I did start sort of writing in the Notes app and just using that as a journal, but this is so much better. And if you have a preconceived notion about the app or journaling in general, I think you should try it out because some of those questions really do like get you thinking. And I just think creatively it can be a benefit. What do you guys think? Let me know if you plan on using the journaling app at all. And if so, what are you going to use it for? Now let's talk messages. So messages settings in iCloud is renamed to messages in iCloud. So here's how it used to look, messages, and now messages in iCloud. There's also an updated interface for messages in iCloud settings. So here you can see a lot more options than you normally would get. You get the Keep Messages option, which is taken directly from the actual messages settings in Settings Messages. You can go there and see message history, keep forever, 1 year, or for 30 days. And you can access all that directly within this section now. In addition, you can see how many messages are stored in iCloud, and you can perform a sync directly from here. and see your current sync status. So just a more practical and built out settings panel. Now you also have Memoji Body type selection. So you can never do this before, but now with 17.2, you can choose a body type for your Memoji. So all you do is just scroll all the way to the very end. Next to clothing, you can see waist. You have chest. Okay. And you have shoulders. And you have arms. But let's make it realistic because I still need to get to the gym. So we're just gonna keep it real. So now you'll see the updated body type when scrolling through the expressions. So tapbacks have been a thing for years, but now you can add sticker reactions as well. So let me show you how that works. So you're just gonna long press here on one of the message bubbles and select add sticker. And a sticker could be an emoji character, just tap it like that. And you can even drag, rotate, and resize like that and just throw it on a message bubble. And you can also add an emoji. You can also add your own stickers that you create. The catch up arrow, not the condiment, but catch up arrow, is a little arrow that you see in the upper right hand corner, lets you catch up to the first unread message when you received a series of messages. This appeared in the original iOS 17 beta, and now it's back. In the sensitive content warning, which you can find in settings, privacy and security, sensitive content warning, helps protect users from inappropriate photos before they view them. Now this is applied to stickers in messages and also contact posters. Now, contact key verification is in the same vein as features like lockdown mode and advanced data protection, really trying to protect users from bad actors. So you can find it in your iCloud settings, scroll all the way down, you see contact key verification, tap on that, and you'll see a toggle for verification in iMessage. So this will help verify that who you are communicating with via iMessage is legitimately the person that you think it is. So you can manually verify who you are messaging by comparing contact verification codes in person or over the phone. So this helps users prevent sophisticated attackers from impersonating anyone else in a conversation. Now here's the catch, and here's why I compared it to advanced data protection, because before you can turn on contact key verification, you have to update other devices that are signed into iMessage to the latest version of macOS or iOS. Otherwise, you have to sign out of those devices. So I did that, and that allowed me to enable verification in iMessage, and you can see I have the public verification code as well, so I can verify that over the phone or in person with whoever I'm speaking with. So that's a nice little feature there. And if someone you were talking to had contact key verification on but then turned it off, you will be prominently alerted inside the conversation and in the info panel for that person. The music app gets a lot of love in iOS 17.2, but unfortunately collaborative playlists, which was a feature on the previous beta, has been removed for now. So this will be shipping sometime next year. And I've heard the reason behind this is because of some of the spam that has originated because of the way the invite system works with shared playlist, or the way it used to work, because I'm sure Apple's probably going to change some things up. But you can see the share invite link option. You also have the QR code so that people can join that shared playlist, and you can choose to approve collaborators or just allow them to join, and then you can generate a new link if you wish to. So it's unfortunate that we don't get this in 17.2, but I'm still looking forward to it. It's really nice to be able to collaborate on a playlist with your friends. In iOS 17.2, when you favorite a song in the music app, that song will be automatically added to a new playlist entitled, drumroll please, favorite songs. So it's pretty cool to have a playlist where all these favorites are stored. And if you unfavorite, that song will be removed automatically. Now, you also have the ability to disable automatically adding favorite songs to your library, which was something super annoying. Like before, when you would favorite a song, it would automatically be added to your library. Now, you go into music app settings and you can see under library, add favorite songs, just turn that off. And from there, favoriting a song will no longer automatically add it to your library. So when I favorite this song, and you go to your library, it's no longer automatically added. And now you can disable Apple Music listening history via a focus filter. This is one of my favorite new features for real. So all apps like Apple Music or Spotify, they use your listening history so that they're able to not only recommend songs you might like, but they do other things. Like for Apple Music, it adds it to recently played, as you just saw, your replay, etc. But you don't want that always to be so. Maybe you have your friends over and they want to listen to some songs, but you don't like their taste in music. You don't want their songs influencing your recommendations. No. But iOS 17.2 gives you a solution. and that is a new focus filter. So I just created a music focus, and you can see here a filter for use listening history. So you can either turn that on or off. If you turn it off and the link focus is turned on, then it won't use your listening history. And that's exactly what I want. So let's go back over to our settings, music, and you can see listening history is enabled, just to verify. So I'm gonna play this song, and you can see it shows up under recently played because it's using the listening history, but now I'm going to enable the music focus just like that. And now whenever a song is played with that focus enabled, it's not going to influence your listening history because it's temporarily disabled. And in 17.2, you have an updated personalized spatial audio setup method. So we're gonna go in here and set this up. When I tap continue, you can see immediately the tutorial looks different versus what it looks like on 17.1.1 and below. So if I start the capture, it's a lot more simplified. Here in 17.2, you just move your head to the left and then to the right. That's it. Whereas on the previous version of iOS, you had to do a lot more steps to get personalized spatial audio set up. You do the front view capture, and then you have step 2 or 3. You start your right ear capture, then your left. You don't need all that in 17.2. The camera also gets a few upgrades. The iPhone 15 Pro Telephoto camera in particular. So in 17.2, you get improved telephoto camera focusing speed when capturing small faraway objects on iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. So for the 15 Pro Max, which I have here, that would be the 5x lens. But the upgrades for 15 Pro users don't stop there related to the camera. So if you go to settings, camera, and then you go to formats, you're gonna see something new here, folks. Spatial video for Apple Vision Pro. So you can record spatial video starting today, and you can view those videos, which are 1080p videos recorded at 30 frames per second. You can view those right on your phone. You can share them like normal. But once Apple Vision Pro launches, you're gonna be able to get that full immersive experience with your spatial videos. But iPhone 15 Pro users get a head start. So when you open up the camera app, you go to video, you're gonna see a new button for spatial video. You tap that button and it will tell you to rotate your iPhone to landscape mode. You can't capture a spatial video in portrait mode. And that's because spatial videos are captured using both the main camera and the ultra-wide camera, and it scales that field of view from the ultra-wide camera to match that of the main camera, which is saved into a single file. So that explains why you need it to be in landscape mode, because those lenses are adjacent to one another and you want them to be on the same plane of view. So here is what the playback looks like of one of those spatial videos on my iPhone. Looks normal, right? But one thing you'll find is you can't edit that video, can't do anything but trim it. There's no cropping or anything like that. Not surprising. And when inspecting spatial videos, you're gonna see a new spatial glyph. And that same glyph is assigned to the new Spatial album that appears in the Photos app. So all your spatial videos recorded will be in this album. And cool thing is, the Apple Vision Pro uses iCloud syncing, so they're all gonna be there ready to go on day one with your Vision Pro. Now the weather app gets a ton of new upgrades here, starting with precipitation totals. So we're gonna go over to a place where it's raining in Fukuoka. Scroll down, you see precipitation panel there. So 0.9 inches in the last 24 hours, 0.2 expected in the next 24 hours. So you can see that little graph there that shows you your precipitation, and you can even go back the previous day and look at that. But you can also go into the future and see what to expect and actually when to expect those rain totals. Now, obviously, take that with a grain of salt. We know how weather forecasts like to turn out sometimes. Now there's also new weather widgets. So you had these three before, but now you get this one, details, and that includes things like precipitation, wind, air quality index, feels like, the low and high temperature, the current temperature, current conditions, tons of info on that. You also have a daily forecast, and that includes the current day with the low and high and the next 4. There's also sunrise and sunset. So I placed the new details widget right there on my home screen. If I long press there and go into edit, I can edit the weather and edit that location if I want to do that. And while I can't do that for the sunset panel, I can do it for the daily forecast as well. There's also a new wind map snapshot, which is something really interesting. So you scroll down, you can actually see the direction of the wind in those various areas on that wind map. And there's also a really cool interactive moon calendar now. So In the previous version, 17.1.1, you saw a similar little setup here where you could drag your finger and shift between the various moon phases based on the date. But in 17.2, it's a little bit more legible and easy to use because you get the tick marks and you also get the actual day of the week. But here's the real differentiator between 17.1.1 and 17.2. When you scroll up and you see that calendar, you're going to notice that the moon status stays on screen because you can tap each calendar day to switch between the various moon statuses. You couldn't do that before. In 17.2, Siri can both read and write health data now. So you can ask, how many steps did I take today? But first, you're going to need to enable access to health data for Siri. So you just turn that little toggle on. So now you can ask, how many steps did I take today? And it'll tell you how many steps you took. 2,132. You can even tell it how many steps you took. So you could say, I took 22 steps today. And guess what? It's acknowledged and logged to your health data. And now Siri can even tell your ETA when using Apple Maps navigation. So I navigated to Disney World and I'm just going to ask, what's my ETA? And it'll tell me just like that. And Siri can also report your current altitude. Just ask, what's my altitude? And it tells you. There are several keyboard-related changes in 17.2, starting with the ability to toggle inline predictions. So you know, in iOS 17, you got the inline predictions as you type. So it will suggest a word like type, like it just did there, and it will auto-complete that. You also have predictions still in the quick type bar right above the keyboard, right? So you can use that as well for predictions, just not inline, but still predictions, right? So here's the cool thing. Previously, if you turned off predictive text, it would turn off both. But now you have a separate show predictions inline toggle that only pertains to the inline predictions. You can see predictive text turns off everything, and I'll show you what that looks like if you turn predictive text off. Well, you get no quick type and you get no inline. But you can turn predictive text on and just turn off predictions inline and therefore keep the quick type predictions. And enhanced autofill can be very handy for identifying fields in PDF forms, just like I'm doing here in markup. So now when you tap here, you're going to get a little pop-up. And for example, tapping my name here will try to populate as much of this PDF as possible. And it does a fairly good job. Obviously, I'm going to have to blur all this out, so you're not going to actually be able to see it. But take my word for it, it populated quite a bit of information for me with just that one tap. And iOS 17.2 supports 8 new Sami languages, and these are closely related languages spoken by indigenous people in Northern Europe. Think like, I guess, Finland, for instance, or Norway or Sweden. I just think it's really cool that Apple's continuing to build out with these new languages. Even though relatively few people speak these languages, it doesn't make it any less important. Now, speaking of important, there are lots of security fixes as usual with this release, and if you don't upgrade for any other reason, I can think of 10 good reasons, these 10 bug fixes / security fixes, as to why you should consider upgrading to 17.2. So I encourage you to pause if you want to read about these security fixes and the people behind them. It's always really cool to see those who are credited for discovering these security fixes. So ladies and gents, that has been a look at over 50 new changes and features in iOS 17.2. If you appreciate this video, as always, leaving a thumbs up helps other people find it and know that it's legit. And of course, subscribe because I got a lot more coming. As you see this whole new setup here, there's a story behind that. Got a lot of really interesting videos in the works right now, so definitely check back for those. At any rate, if you're looking for something else cool to watch, then be sure to check out these videos right here for more. This is Jeff with 9 to 5 Mac.